Hey guys, we're here to make some porcini and sweetbreads together into some little herb tacos. And I haven't tried to do this before. I'm streaming on 2 platforms, but we're gonna give it a go and hopefully it works out. So I'm gonna point you guys down at the board. Okay, there we go. Down the board so you can see what I'm doing. And I think you guys can already see, but maybe I'll make it a little bit easier to see here. Boom. Okay. So what we have in front of us is some porcini mushrooms. This is Boletus rubriceps. It's a beautiful king bolete species that grows in Colorado. And my friend Oliver was out there a couple days ago and drove back with a whole bunch of mushrooms. And these are absolutely pristine. There's no bugs. Even still have these beautiful white pores. Boletus rubriceps is known for having this kind of like, it's faded a little bit, very reddish top. And they get big. They get real big. And this year has been a really, really, really good season for them. So Oliver drove out there like last week, picked up a bunch, brought me back some, and I've been eating them all week, and they're really, really good. I've also got some sweetbreads. So this is sort of an unusual meat. This is a thymus gland or a pancreas of a calf. And I know it might seem kind of weird to eat something like this, but it's a byproduct of animal farming, and it's a cut of meat that has historical significance, cultural significance, and quite frankly, it's delicious. So if you think it's weird to eat pancreas, I think it's weird that everyone just eats steak all the time. I think there's a lot of other pieces of meat that are potentially more sustainable that we should pay attention to. So I'm gonna sort of show you guys what I'm doing here. I did a cooking stream of mostly the same kind of thing on Instagram the other night as I made dinner for my sweetie, who had had a bad day, and sweetbreads are her favorite. So I decided to make her dinner that night, and I have the leftovers here, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do this again because it was so good. But this time I'm cooking for one, and I think what I might do is I'm going to cook and bread my sweetbreads here in sort of a porcini flour mixture that I've got, and then I'll cook my mushrooms in the butter that's left over, and then I'm going to roll it all into a little shiso leaf taco, and then put that in the leftover breading and just do a quick fry on it. So we're going to incorporate a couple different techniques and sort of different ideas about how to do food here. So I get my nasturtiums out of the way. I'll put this back with the herbs. I've also got some great chili oil or chili crisp here from Fly by Jing, and I haven't tried this yet, but I want to try like dipping my little sweetbread porcini taco in their chili crisp. So thank you to Fly by Jing for letting me give a try of their stuff. I've also got this incredible fermented plum butter sauce here that I made. So this was some plum puree that I sort of accidentally let ferment in the fridge, but either way it fermented. And then I cooked that down with some sugar and some pomegranate molasses and some rose honey, and then a little bit of lemon thyme vinegar and butter. I mounted the sauce with butter. That's what you do to make things taste like restaurant food, and they taste really, really good like that. Oh, I have a beer. I'm gonna crack a beer as I cook here. So, little Sudworks Pilsner, simple beer, but tastes good. Oh yeah, yum yum yum. Okay, you guys asking me any good questions before? Oh, hey Noah, Michael Loco. You want to know more about the porcini flour? Sure. I mean, it's not flour, it's powder. And I mean, I can show you what the stuff looks like. Hang on just a sec. I can clip myself. Put this there. So here is the porcini powder in its raw form. It's just a bunch of dried king boletes that I stick in a food processor and turn it into a powder. It's not very scientific, but it works and it tastes really good. It smells really good. So maybe I'll put even a little bit extra in my breading here. So a little extra porcini punch for the breading. So stir that up. This breading also has some green garlic that I charred off in my broiler, and then I dehydrated it. And that was a move that was inspired by Sad Poppy, Brandon, who's one of my favorite chefs and sort of a constant source of inspiration to me when it comes to food. It's always fun to watch his videos, especially his stuff that he does for Headley and Bennett now, because those are just really, really good, like simple intro videos on food. If people want to learn how to cook, go watch Brandon's content. He will teach you how to cook, and he'll do it in a very calm, relaxing, and an easy to listen to kind of way. He's very direct. His communication style with cooking is wonderful. You know, some people do a lot of yelling and storytelling during cooking, which is fun. It's fine. I appreciate it. I do some storytelling myself, but sometimes I appreciate something that's just like really, really straightforward and really simple, because it can make even complicated techniques seem doable if you present them in the right way. So what I did, speaking of which, what I did with these sweetbreads to get to this point where I'm going to dredge them and fry them is I soaked them. First they were frozen, so I defrosted them. Then I soaked them in milk and salt. Not a lot of salt, just a little bit. Milk for ideally a day. I only did it for like an hour or two, but it worked out just fine. And that helps draw off some of the weird organy flavor of the sweetbreads themselves. And then I did a quick poach. So I made sort of a water broth with a bay leaf, thyme, clove of garlic, some black pepper, and some herb vinegar. And then I poached these for about 5 minutes, sort of, you know, just on a bare simmer. And then I pressed them in the fridge for a couple of days. So they're nice and compressed, and they're kind of set and firm. And now they're ready to be dredged up and fried. So I will fry those in just a moment. And chill. I'll slice up my porcini here, so I'll actually be ready to cut these. This porcini is a joy to cut through. Unfortunately, they're not quite as dense and crispy as they were a couple days ago, but that's okay. They still taste good. They're just not as beautifully crisp as they would be if I brought them home fresh. But that's okay. We'll make this happen. This one smells a little suspect. I'm gonna put that aside for right now. I've eaten suspect mushrooms before, but I don't need to eat suspect mushrooms tonight. So my tummy's actually kind of hurting today. It doesn't feel so good, so I'm hoping that this will make it feel better. You know, I don't think most people who have a stomach problem would say, "Oh, I'm going to eat sweetbreads." Probably not their thought process, but that was mine, I guess. Sweetbreads are definitely a comfort food to me. Slicing up the porcini. Good spank there. Good porcini slaps. This is the thing that people generally love when I do this. But it's got me banned off TikTok too. I don't understand why. Sitting around and cooking is so controversial. But you know what? No accounting for taste. So the other night when I did this, I left really big pieces, but because I'm going to put these into it's like an herb wrap kind of thing, I'm going to cut them a little bit slimmer. Okay, so there's our porcini done. That's good. Got this. So we're almost ready to start frying. And I'm just going to bring my hand up. Okay. Take a sip of beer. Okay. See how well this works. We're going to shift everything over to the stove. Let's see if I can get you guys turn around. So let's see what I'm doing at the stove. No, you've definitely eaten some sus oyster mushrooms in your day. Yeah, I've compromised on freshness of mushrooms a few times. Usually it's fine. But anyone who's asking what I'm cooking, just look at the title of the live. I'm cooking sweetbreads, which are thymus kind of a calf, and porcini mushrooms. So let me get you guys turned around So you can see what's going to be going on in this pan. Okay. So get you sort of set up there. Okay. So put this pan on pretty high heat. Put the oil in. And I'm going to grab my frying instruments. I use frying those things, chopsticks, and spoon, or some sort of offset spatula. It's definitely my go-to tools for frying. Quick sip of beer while this is heating up. Try to get a plate out to land this stuff on. Getting warm. It's not super hot yet. Sweetbreads here. Start laying these down. Okay. Sizzle. Shape makes me go a little bit more. Too much fat. I don't have too much oil in the pan here because I'm going to put a bunch of butter in. I'm just, whoo, that was hot. Just trying to get a little bit of oil on each piece here, so at least gets crispy on one side, and then I'll put some butter in the veggies on the other side. Okay. Everybody's got a little bit of oil frying away. That's a good thing. Give yourself just over here. What is the worst mushroom you've ever tasted? Oh man, I've had some real doozies. Probably the thing I remember tasting recently that was really bad was a Sarcodon hawkswing type mushroom that I had here in Napa, which is funny because it was just really, really bitter, really unpleasant tasting. It had unpleasant texture. And then I had a closely related hawkswing Sarcodon type mushroom in Colorado this year and absolutely loved it. So it was really a difference in where the mushroom's growing. It could have been the age of the mushroom too. Sarcodon is kind of a weird genus. It's the scaled hedgehogs. It's toothy mushroom. These are popping and spitting. Michael Loco, thank you for answering questions in the chat that I am not necessarily seeing. Oh yeah, oh that's some good browning. All right, we're on track here. Turn these guys over. Nice little even sear. And we're gonna go ahead and baste this in just a moment. Okay. So we need a big old tab of butter to do this right. Butter. No. I'm also going to use this butter to cook the porcini, so booyah. I forgot some herbs for basting. I'll use my basil flour here. Just for basting. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to push our protein up to the top of the pan, take our well of butter, and just start dousing that over these beautiful pieces of crusted sweetbread. Here you go. This is one of those things that, you know, chefs are always doing, butter-based things. And you do it with steak, but you can do it to really any kind of protein. Hell, you could do this with tofu and it would make it delicious. You put porcini powder all over tofu and crusted it and fried it in butter or bean butter or something. Oh man, that would be killer. Yeah. Give everybody a nice hearty fry here. This is a nice one because it kind of crisps and caramelizes from like the top and seeps down over the meat, which is really, really good. I like this method quite a bit. Okay. But you're also prone to burning butter, and there is some flour in the pan, so I think what I'm going to do here is just pull these off real quick. Okay, so I turn my heat off so I can get close to this without it hurting me. I'm just going to pull off these perfectly crispy, wonderful little bits of sweetbread nuggets, as it were. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so I've got my sweetbread nuggets. I'm going to just do a quick salt on top of those guys. We'll put these to the side. Now, you guys ready to cook some mushrooms? I'm ready to cook some mushrooms. I'm going to paper away before I start this up again. So I'll put this back on about medium heat. Make sure that fat is nice and hot. Have a Fuji piece of. Oh. Okay, so this is getting nice and warm. I'm going to go in with this beautiful porcini that I sliced up and just fry that in our brown butter. Oh, yeah. A little extra salt on the porcini. Help draw out a little bit of liquid. Start breaking it down. Get everybody tossed around in that nice butter. Now, if these porcini were really wet, I would probably dry fry them ahead of time, which means I'd put them in a pan without oil and try to cook some of the liquid out. But because these porcini are pretty dry, they'll just absorb the fat and get browned up anyway. But this is not typical of a lot of wild mushrooms. A lot of mushrooms would be very wet and would need to be dry fried before you could cook them in fat like this. Okay, and let our porcini go. Listen to those porcini fry. So I'm just going to wait for them to really kind of break down. I'm going to give them a solid like 5 minutes in the pan here to kind of get soft. I might deglaze at some point with a little bit of sherry or wine. I think some sake here. Sake might be good. I might even put a scoop of plum sauce in with it this time. I'm going to break these down. I'm just going to let them get nice and brown before I start monkeying around too much with putting liquid in the pan. So I've got them on pretty high heat. They are searing. One thing that's nice about cooking mushrooms versus meat is it's really hard to overcook a mushroom. It's pretty easy to overcook meat, and so the window is fairly narrow for overcooking meat. But with mushrooms, as long as they are cooked thoroughly, they don't really get overcooked easily. You know, you can burn them, but for the most part, you know, more browning just equals more flavor. So it's not like, you definitely don't want to eat mushrooms rare, you know? So while there's some similarities between cooking mushrooms and meat, they sort of do fall apart when you start talking about like doneness. Because mushrooms can basically sit in a pan or in a stew for hours on end and really not change texture much, other than in the first sort of 5 minutes when they go from being raw to being cooked. Once they're cooked, they're pretty stable texture-wise, which is a nice thing, because you can put them in a dish and just let them cook forever, and they'll still be just as good after 4 hours of simmering as they were, you know, after 5 minutes of simmering. And that's definitely not true of meat. Although, you know, some meat breaks down, but you can overcook stuff if you're trying to do a rare steak or something like that. That's not the approach you want to take with mushrooms. They're looking pretty good. Someone's asking me why my profile says "do not buy drugs from the internet." It's because there's a bunch of scammers and fake accounts that use my photos and my videos and pretend to be me online, and they scam people into trying to buy illegal drugs, and it's really frustrating. I've asked all the platforms that I'm on to try to help regulate this, and whenever I see a profile, I submit a report that this person is attempting to, you know, use my likeness to push illegal substances, and more often than not, I'm told by their automated algorithms that the person, you know, the account in question is not in violation of their community standards and stuff like that, which is super frustrating, because I get a lot of stuff banned for like illegal content and regulated goods, and like I spend so much time trying to tell people that this is educational. These are wild foraged mushrooms, and I'm just trying to teach people. So it's really hard when I constantly get this like drug stuff levied at me, and when there's these like fake accounts pretending to be me and using my likeness to sell drugs. The worst part too is I've heard from a bunch of people, because people have emailed me and been like, "Hey, give me my money back," and I'm like, "You didn't buy drugs from me. I don't sell drugs on the internet. Thus, do not buy drugs from the internet." But people have messaged me and like asked me for refunds, and I'm like, "You didn't even get the drugs you ordered?" And they're like, "No, I got scammed." I'm like, "Well, no shit." So, sorry, it's a frustrating topic for me, man. It is. That really chafes me. I hate that people are able to use my image like that and scam other people. You know, it'd be better if they were selling actual drugs, but they're not. They're just scamming people. So that's the explanation for my profile picture and why it says "do not buy drugs from me" on the internet. I'm probably gonna put that on a shirt and put it on my website, you know, just because. Okay, we're going to do a quick deglaze with some cherry vinegar. Turn our heat down just a little bit. I'm going to put in a scoop of our plum sauce here. Let that melt down for a second and absorb. And here's a little bit of sherry. I'm going to go into that. And I'll hit this with a little bit more salt to finish. So I am cooking up porcini mushrooms with sweetbreads, which are a offal meat. It's a kind of gland from a cow, but it's a really, really tasty thing that they do in fancy restaurants. And I'm kind of making fancy restaurant food at home, but you know, with my own rules and the way that I want to. So here we go. Our porcini are cooked, so I'm letting them cool down just a little bit, and now we're going to roll up some shiso herb tacos, and then we're going to try sort of doing a quick fry on those. So move you guys back to my board here. Get our herbs squared away. Set up and then fry again. So here's our beautiful sweetbreads browned out in butter, looking really nice and crispy. Over here. Okay, let's see. I can probably put sweetbreads and porcini on the same plate. Here. So I'm going to turn you guys around. Yeah. All right, back of the board. What other mushrooms could you use if you don't have porcini? You could do this with literally any mushroom. You don't need to use porcini. I mean, it would be kind of hard to replicate this recipe in particular because there's a lot of steps that I took to make these sweetbreads, and I don't know if everyone has access to stuff like sweetbreads or shiso. But you know, you can take the idea of what I'm doing. If you did this just with like chicken and romaine lettuce, this would be pretty darn good. Okay, it's your turn. Let's see. There. Okay. Ooh. So here, cooking on that is stressful. Hopefully I seem relaxed, but it's, you know, my part's always fine. Okay. Just got to be really focused on what you do. Keep your hands in line. Make sure you work carefully with a knife. Don't cut yourself. No bleeding hands when you're cutting live and cooking live. That's some fun. So here's a really big shiso leaf. And when shiso leaves get this big, they get a little tough. And so when you get this big, I'd like to cook them a little bit, which was my thought in actually making a little bit of a batter out of this leftover dredging for the sweetbreads. So I think I'm going to add just a little bit of water to this flour and stir it around. Let's see how this looks. So here's our leftover breading flour from frying our sweetbreads. Mix that around. We get kind of a lightish tempura batter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up these shiso leaves like little burrito cigar things filled with sweetbreads and porcini and some other herbs. And then I'm going to try to deep fry them, or like just maybe shallow pan fry them. And put a little heat on them, cook the shiso just a little bit, and then we'll dip it in some of our shiso, I'm sorry, our plum butter paste here too. So, you know, this is a multi-layered, multi-level course. I think there's potential. I'll try to put a little of this chili oil on too. So I think that'll be kind of fun. First I'm going to try it, but I guess I should. Ooh, okay. Good. Bottom of my, this stuff's goopy. That's fun. Fly-by-Jane chili oil here. Oh, goodness. Too good. Ooh. Wow. Oh, that's insanely good. Okay, cool. Hey, Fly-by-Jane. That's good stuff. Always get some heat. Wow, there's a lot of flavor in that. Okay, that'll go really well with this plum thing. So I think I'm going to mix my plum sauce and my chili sauce for a little extra zing on these fried shiso leaves. So I'm going to take my sweetbreads and maybe even slice them one more time, make them a little bit thinner. So, 3 pieces. There's shiso leaf. And take our porcini here. So yeah, I mean, if you just made like a mushroom chicken, you know, romaine taco, that would be delicious. And you could just put whatever sauce you have in the fridge on top of this. You don't have to do it fancy like I'm doing. You could just do it real simple. But I'm extra, so I'm going to do it fancy. And we're live streaming, so you know, why not knock it up a notch. see how well we do. Okay, so shiso leaf is not a perfect wrapper. Not a perfect wrapper. Is there a perfect wrapper? Some would say Kanye, but I would argue that he's insane and kind of an asshole. So might be a genius, but he's also a gay fish. Okay, let's try folding on corner in here, folding over. This might be easier to do if you had a toothpick. But we're gonna. Oh, hang on! I'm not even done. I'm trying to roll my taco, and I didn't put my other herbs in here. There we go. We need some Thai basil, some basil. Pick that up. Okay, so we have our other herbs. Help the fold a little bit. Everyone needs to fold. So I'll make at least like 2 or 3 packages right now. Okay, so a big piece of shiso, one piece of sweetbread inside. I'll take a little sweetbread snack here, some quick dip in our plum sauce. Oh, it's so tender. It's so good. The sweetbread flavor is a really nice match to this kind of like sweet fermented plum sauce and like the nice meatiness of these porcini. So good. So a little bit of Thai basil, a little bit of basil. I don't know if this is Japanese basil, but Italian kind of basil versus the Thai stuff. Probably more kinds of basil out there than you thought. It's a good idea to acquaint yourself with all the different kinds of basil. They're all delicious and they're all slightly different from each other. It's the color, the flavor, or what, but they're good. I'm doing one more taco here. So we're frying up 3 of our tacos. They're not really tacos, eh? They're cigars. I don't know what to call this. I'm eating a pizza. It's good. You know, it's probably I probably have 1 sweetbread taco. A couple pieces of mushroom, herbs, and bagel. Just fold this up. Fold it up and roll it up. And shiso is not an ideal wrapper. So we'll just try to make this work. Okay, we have our breading batter mixture here, porcini powder and scorched green onion, and some salt in there. So we got our pan hot. Put some oil in there, and we'll go ahead and dredge these and then cook them. So. Okay. Ooh. Someone asked me how long does it take me to make this dish normally. I don't know. I've never made this dish before. This is definitely the first time I've ever done this. Which is one of those funny things is I think a lot of people when they go live are like, I have to like do a particular thing. And I'm like, I refuse to do that. I will do whatever I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it. Which is maybe why I'm not the best live creator. But I have a good time with it, you know. I have a lot of fun. So it's kind of like a burrito that wants to stay closed. So I'm going to put this one here and just see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to just roll this whole thing around. Batter. That one worked much better. It's kind of like I'm figuring this out as I go, which is exactly what I'm doing. This one might be a little bit big to fit everybody in one. I should take one of these pieces of mushroom out. Make it easier. This is the kind of thing I could see like a very fancy, very, very fancy sushi restaurant serving as like a amuse-bouche in their restaurant. And a amuse-bouche is something you serve for like a fancy meal to kind of amuse the palate. There we go. Quick washing step. And moving that has to happen here in the kitchen. Get everyone situated. Boom. There's our stuff frying. Shiso leaves wrapped and battered, frying. So see how well these stay together as I try to flip them over. I might try to sprinkle just a tiny bit more of this batter on top and around, and maximize that porcini flavor on these guys. That oil down the cooked stuff. Oh, hey Gabrielle, how you doing? Yeah, this is definitely chaotic cooking. If you guys don't follow Gabrielle, you totally should. She does amazing foraging content and is an incredible educator. And is now on Instagram, so you should for sure follow Chaotic Forager on Instagram if you don't. Yeah, so this is it's a fairly complex dish. This is not exactly a beginner dish. Maybe I should have done something else to stream, but I like cooking like this, and you guys are watching me do it. I do a lot of cooking on Instagram, so if you like this kind of stream, definitely check out my Instagram. I usually am a little bit more structured there. This is a bit more chaotic, as I said, because I'm kind of making this up as I go along. I didn't really have a plan. I'm just doing stuff, you know. Okay. So can we flip this without dumping the contents of our shiso taco? Yeah, here we go. Oh, this one's not wanting to flip. There we go. Okay. So inside of these things, we've got our sweetbreads and our porcini and some other herbs. And I'm going to be dipping these in a combo of plum butter sauce that I'm going to mix with just a little bit of chili oil from Fly by Jane, which I can tell already is absolutely delicious. So here's my plum sauce I'm mixing with this Fly by Jane chili oil, and this will be my dipping sauce for these little shiso sweetbread packets. Oh man, oh, that's so good. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Yeah, that Fly by Jane has so much umami in it. It really elevates that plum sauce and makes it very lively and interesting. I'm going to heat it up just a tiny bit too. Fluidize some of the butter that's in my plum sauce. Those are frying away, looking pretty good. A little more flip on these guys. Need very little. This is our delicious dipping sauce. Plum sauce, Fly by Jane chili oil. Oh yeah. Woo! That is good. Slap your mama good? I don't know. Some kind of good. I wouldn't want to slap my mom, but you know, I know some people say that. I don't know if the Stale Cracker guy says that, but man, he's a lot of fun to watch him cook, isn't he? It's kind of crazy to see a Bayou guy really blow up like that, but you know, it's cool. cool to see who gets famous on TikTok. And YouTube and social media in general is wild. See the way that certain people just, I don't know, people gravitate towards them, right? Is it charisma? Is it a niche? What is it? What is the thing that drives engagement and interest and really gets people going? You know, hopefully it's food. Hopefully it's other things. Storytelling, all sorts of stuff. I certainly try to do my part to make mushroom education a thing on social media, and I appreciate other people who've helped me do that. There are a lot of great educational accounts there that teach you all about mushrooms and other things. Okay, so I'm going to turn the heat off. Yeah, this whole wave of foraging and foraging educators on social media is amazing to see. Like, I learn stuff every day by just logging in and seeing what people have posted. Okay, so this one's a little dicey. I'm gonna try to use my spoon to help pick that up. And this one looks pretty good. Let's just drain that for a second. It's too early. Okay. This isn't like the best execution in the world, but it works, you know? It's not terrible. So I'm gonna bring you guys back to my board here. We are going to try this now, which is something I normally don't do on my Instagram streams. I do not eat on social media generally. But I will show you guys what it looks like to taste this, because that's the payoff, right? That's what people watch to see, how is it gonna taste? How am I gonna rate it? Right? I can tell it already because I've been snacking. I'm going to rate this quite well. It's really, every individual component is really delicious. Even the crispy bits in the pan are really good. So, okay. Just to recap what we have here. Boom. So, we have shiso wrapped sweetbreads, which is a pancreas or thymus gland of a calf that I soaked in milk, poached it, and then dredged it in porcini flour and basted it in butter. So we have those sliced inside of here. We have some cooked up Boletus rubriceps. So this is porcini mushroom from Colorado. And then it's wrapped in shiso leaf, beautiful Japanese herb, kind of related to mint, some basil, some Thai basil. We will, of course, garnish this here with a couple of my nasturtiums for a little pretty color, you know. Doesn't that look nice? Inside of our shiso leaf is all those things, and we're going to take our little cigars and dip them into this fermented plum paste that I cooked down with sugar and pomegranate, molasses and honey, and some vinegar, and lots of butter. And then we're also going to mix in a little bit of this Fly-by Jane chili oil to kind of liven it up and make it a little more exciting, give it a little bit more umami. So, all right. Come down here and do a dip. Ooh, it's hot. Wow. I should cut that in half before I try to bite it. But wow, that is incredible. That's so good. That dipping sauce with the shiso, and the sweetbread, and the mushroom. Oh my God, I'm gonna eat this flour. Nasturtiums is such a nice, mild horseradish flour or horseradish flavor. They're so good. Nice cleanser. After a pretty rich, herby bite, I'm gonna go in and try dip the rest of this here. There's no one else eating but me, so I'm okay double dipping. Wow. That's so good.
Holy cow. Mmm. Yep. Well, this is going to be a weird recipe for people to try to replicate. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is very good. So hopefully you feel inspired. You definitely don't have to do everything I did in this video, but you know, you can just use herbs or mushrooms and weird meats together, put them with some tasty sauces, eat them on green stuff, or add some fly-by jing. It's all delicious. Absolutely amazing flavor, wonderful textures, super good. So, cheers. If you guys want to learn more from me, you can definitely check out my website, fascinatedbyfungi.com. Sorry, there's a lot of good tasty things on my fingers right now. Yeah, check out my website. I've got an About Me tab. I have a mushroom FAQ tab where I answer a lot of your common questions about how do I get into mushroom hunting, what websites do I use, what books do I use. I have a mushroom discount tab where you can find a discount code for buying mushroom kits, for buying mushroom grow supplies, all sorts of posters and dried mushroom ingredients, supplements, coffees, jerky, all sorts of stuff. Check it out. It's good. If you want to follow me on all the different social platforms, I am on all of them. So give me a follow. I would appreciate it. I also have a Patreon and a Venmo if you feel like tipping. Everything is much appreciated. And much love, guys. Okay.